My new barber is cool, but he's over in Crenshaw. You know, he don't know that I'm gay. You know, when you up in there, you know they work on your self-esteem. So you sitting up in that chair, right? And they start working on your head. They be like, yeah, brother, when you leave, you gonna get all the ladies. And I'm quiet. And I'm quiet because I don't lie, so I just stay quiet, right? I omit the truth. I'm just like, all right, cool. Why you act like you don't get no pussy? Because I don't, okay? You don't get no pussy. You ain't never had it. You ain't never ate it before. I'm like, look, I don't even know how to cook that shit. And it's not that I'm in anybody's closet, because I'm not in anybody's closet, but the people in here who are black and gay know you're gay, but you're also black. And I might be gay, but I'm a black man first. And I cannot let homophobia come in between me and a fresh shape of it. Fuck that, okay?
Hello, beautiful people. It is your girl, Miss Charlotte, and I have a very special guest. His name is Sampson McCormick, and
Oh, Lord. Charlotte can't drive.
If you saw that clip, I know you're still laughing. As you can see, he is a nut. So I'm not going to continue to drive since he think I can't drive. But I'm going to park. So if this is your first time visiting my platform, thank you and welcome. I talk ish as in issues, because we all have them. How we deal with them, that is truly the difference. And I am a firm believer that if we don't deal with our ish will deal with us. So we're talking about Dave Chappelle being canceled. And I wanted to talk to someone who is in the LGBT community, who is a black man like David Chappelle. And I'm going to share my perspective as a black, straight woman, but I'm also a fag hag in the sense that I have a lot of gay friends. I even have transgender friends. So we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about it. And like I always say, you do not have to agree with everything.
Yes, you do.
Just keep it cute, because any hate.
That's the turn your car off right quick. Yeah, because we gonna talk.
We're going to talk. Okay. So, Sampson, what is your whole take out? I saw the special, and I'm still trying to figure out who's really mad with David Chappelle. Is it the whole LGBT community, or is it just the transgenders?
We're outraged, I'm playing. So people are upset about his comedy special, but I just think, if you were in the LGBT community, you have a choice. Nobody put a seatbelt on your couch. It turned on his special and made you sit there. Like, you turned his special on, so why are you getting offended when you have a choice on whether or not you want to watch the special or not?
Exactly.
The issue with comedy today, I think it's always been, but especially now, is that people go into comedy shows looking for things to be offended by. So again, rather than going in and first going there to hear a message and being able to use emotional intelligence to really decipher what it is that the comedian is saying, they go, oh, that hurt my feelings, which I think more comedians today should embrace, because that means that you're telling the truth. And that's what makes good comedy, is when you're telling the truth. People now will come to comedy shows with the intention of being offended. And it's just like that expression, if you look for something, you'll find it. If you come to a comedy show to be offended, you're going to get offended.
When I go to any comedy show, I expect offense of some type. If it's a woman joke, they always have sex jokes. They always have dick jokes. They always have wife jokes. They always have crazy girlfriend jokes. Everybody gets it. Everybody. They got black jokes. They got Spanish jokes. I mean, it's a human experience, and every human gets it.
Mm-hmm.
Any comedian, I walk into a comedy show expecting to be, offended in some form or another, but, like you said, to laugh at yourself, because it be the truth. They're not saying anything, I mean, I remember this one joke by Richard Pryor where he was saying, he not with a weak woman, that if somebody coming after him to kill him, your ass better run. You better get up and run. And that stayed with me, because when I work out for that joke. I don't want no man leaving my ass behind because I'm trying to be too feminine, I'm trying to be too cute. He gonna leave my ass behind.
Right.
Now, some people would take that to offense, thinking that their man should, defend them and be there for them. But it's real. When real life happens, your nigga might leave your ass. And because you too busy trying to be cute and falling down on the ground and all this kind of stuff. So again, that came from a joke, but look how I took that into a survival kind of thing and took it into real life. So again, when you go to a comedy show, you have to know that we're all going to get shot. We're all a target, because it's a human experience. And I think with Dave Chappelle, he does a great job at pushing the issue in your face, whether you like it or not. And so what I got from this special was, and correct me if I'm wrong, he was basically saying that the LGBT community on the black side doesn't get the same respect or the same courtesies as the LGBT on the whites. Even with feminism, he was saying that with feminists, it's the same, that the black feminists don't, are not getting the same privileges or courtesy as the white feminists. So he still brought it down to black and white. No matter what community you're in, he was saying that he was really upset with the whites, or that's who he had a problem with. So I understood that, but I guess the black community was saying that they're all one. Do you find that the black community are more likely to see the LGBT community as one, where maybe the white LGBT community, they say they see it as one, but at the end of the day, do they use their white privilege?
Of course they use it. Of course they use their white privilege. And that's exactly what the special was highlighting. We might be gay, but again, we are black first. So how we're sitting up in this car together, say a police officer pulled us over, he's not going to ask which one of us
is straight.
They're going to look at us most of the time and make a simple assumption based on our skin color, and we are going to have to deal with what comes with that.
Yeah.
And so I want more people to understand that, in the gay community, you got to deal with racism. I went to a bar in San Francisco one time where I knew my black ass didn't belong in that bar, and other black gay people told me not to go in that bar, but I went because they had 2-for-1 drink specials, and I wanted a $3 Long Island iced tea. And I went in, and the bartender, I don't want to say he put it in there, but I just know that crushed glass was in my drink. And there were a couple of other black people who had gone to that same bar and had similar experiences. And so there are certain things that we do have to endure as black people, and not necessarily endure. They're just certain experiences that we have,
realities,
that are relatable. And so I think as black people, no matter who we go home and sleep with, we have to realize that as black people, no matter what that experience looks like, we come in all types of different ways. We all love different, we are attracted to different things, but our allegiance needs to liberating each other and speaking to our experiences and being, a universal and cultural family with each other. And, because a lot of black people, they equate gay with white. And nothing about me is white at all.
And I remember going to Gay Prides. There was black gay pride.
Yeah.
You know, just going back to the Dave Chappelle, what he's pointing out. If it's all just one community, why do you have to have black gay pride?
I mean,
you have to.
That should tell you something right there. The fact
Right
that you
there.
have, a lot of us aren't welcome. And because again, yeah, it's a gay community, but they're still white people. And so if you go and you show up and you out there, depends on where you at, you smoking weed, they'll call the cops on you. So here you are with a bunch of other gay people, they white, and y'all gay, and you still dealing with the same black shit. You know, you're in an elevator at the host hotel with some white lesbian woman, and she looking at you clutching her purse. You're dealing with the same things that you would have to deal with as a black person, and you're just in a subculture. And the reality is yes, we might be black and gay or trans, but you are a black person first. And so when I come out of my house, people see a black person first. You know,
Amen.
Gay comes into the equation much later, especially in my neighborhood. You better not come out of the house with that gay shit. No, I'm just playing.
Yes, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that because, black comes first, and I want to keep it real. Going back to Dave Chappelle real quick. I mean, he said a lot, for a lot of people, and I just wonder if it's the LGBT. Do you think it's the black LGBT community that's upset with him, or the white LGBT community, or everybody, or just transgenders?
No, nobody's upset with him for real. There are people who think they're upset because somebody told them to be upset. But if you really sat down with most of these people and said, okay, why are you upset? Oh, because he told everybody to kill transgender people. He didn't say that. There are a lot of people who will project their misunderstandings onto what he said, but most black gay people and trans people who I know, they thought it was hilarious. So either they didn't watch it, and just like you got a lot of people who did not watch it, and they're upset because everybody else is upset. Go watch the special, man.
Yeah, watch the special and have your own perspective.
Yeah, and listen. Go into it listening, because comedy is it's an art form that allows us to look at some of the harsh realities of what we live in.
Yes.
And
let's talk about that. So let's talk about Sampson McCormick.
And an Academy Award nominee. Currently one of the top touring LGBTQ POC comic headliners in the country.
Probably the most famous openly gay comedian on the circuit.
If you've already seen him, you know what I'm talking about.
There's not much that Sampson McCormick cannot do.
Sampson McCormick.
Sampson McCormick. Sampson McCormick.
Sampson McCormick.
Sampson McCormick! I want you to tell this story. I don't know if you remember telling me this, but you had this show at a racist city where it was like
you mean LA? No, I'm just playing. I'm playing.
No, it was like some small hick town, and you wind up really changing the perspective of a lot of racists that came up to you after the show. Share a little bit of that with me. I think that was I will never forget that story. You told me that story years ago.
I've had a lot of racist encounters at shows. I was at a show in College Park, Maryland, and I was talking about this was years ago. I miss it, called them girls nappy headed hoes. And so I was just basically saying I didn't feel like it was racist. I've heard racist, and I think a lot of black people are like, yeah, them girls did need to comb their hair, We were just, making light out of something, again, like we shouldn't be offended by words. And this dude broke a beer bottle in the back of the club and called me a nigger. And I mean, then I was in Michigan, and a white supremacist group showed up to the show.
That's the one.
And it was funny because the girl who was she was like my assistant for this show. She came to me in the green room. She said, they got to postpone the show 30 minutes. I said, why? She said, you got protesters. And I, again, being a black gay comedian, before that was cool, I've had, churches have been out and all kinds of protest groups have been out. So I was like, oh, I've had protesters, that's fine. She's like, nah, there's a different kind of protester. And I'm like, well, who is it? She's like, oh, it's the Klan. And I'm like, oh shit, you mean like the Wu-Tang Clan? You know, because I didn't know. And she told me it was the Ku Klux Klan. She's like, it's a white supremacist group. And I was like, I'm not gonna lie. There is this sensation that goes through your body like, oh shit.
Fear.
And not fear. For me, it wasn't fear. It was
I would have been
like,
scared as shit.
I was concerned because, you know, I got T-Mobile, so I ain't had service out of Michigan, so I couldn't text nobody and be like, these bitches about to get me. But it wasn't fear. It was a feeling. I don't know exactly what the word for the feeling was, but I'm not afraid of that. You know, my approach to life has always been embrace the experience. So I was like, okay, well, shit, I'm here now. And I wanted my check, so I was like, I'm gonna go out there. And we had waited 30 minutes. They weren't leaving, and you know, I had this other part of the joke where you know, she was like, oh my God, we're gonna call the police, and I'm like, oh Lord, now you're trying to call another anti-black terrorist group down here. You know, we already got one out there. Y'all trying to make sure I don't get out of here live tonight, you know. And so we waited, you know, for about a half an hour, and I was like, well, they're here. I'm not afraid of whatever may happen. You know, I'm not religious, but I also believe that I believe I'm divinely covered. And I believe if you decide that you're divinely covered, then you are.
Amen.
And so I walked out on stage and they were out there, and I did my show. And you know, the lady, she stood up, she called me a nigger. And she was, you know,
They stayed for the whole show?
Oh, they stayed for the whole show. They had a great time. I think they had a better time than anybody else. You know, my thing is this.
You said the lady stood up, and what did she say?
She called me the N-word. She called me a nigger, and she said, we don't like niggers. And I said, that's fine. You know, I got a couple niggers I don't like too, so sit your ass down. And she laughed. She laughed at that. She was like, and you know, it's an all-white audience, so they all tense and stuff. And then when I said that, some of them were like, should we laugh at that? And then there's a couple of, I mean, if something is funny, it's funny. It was a few of them white people, they would go, wow, that was pretty good, you know, and they, because they feel like, I guess, if they laugh at the shit, it's going to make them racist. And I'm like, y'all already let these bitches in here, so y'all are racist, so laugh at the shit.
Exactly.
So,
wow.
No, I'm kidding about that part. But no, she did say that. And the thing is we know the history of these words. We know the words aren't going anywhere. And so I think that we'll get a lot further if we accept the reality of them. And not that we are niggers, because we ain't niggers. We know the definition of that. We know that's not what we are.
Right.
But you cannot let people's words affect you and how you respond to them and respond to certain situations. And so she said that. I talked the shit back to her. You know, and she sat down, and they were mad at first, like, damn, that's a quick one up there on this. You know,
a quick Negro.
Yeah. And I stayed focused on my show. Of course, I watched them to make sure, you know, ain't no gun or nothing come out, because I'm like, okay, I will run. But I really stayed focused on just my human experiences, which is what I talk about in my comedy. So I talked about racism. And they were mad about that a little bit. Then I started talking about being gay. I'm not afraid to make fun out of myself and, you know, talk about how my aunt, you know, when I used to go to the family picnic, you know, get that faggot away from my potato salad, you know. That's funny. Then they started laughing at it a little bit. Then I started talking about, you know, my nieces and nephews, you know, how badass kids, and everybody can relate to that. And they were laughing at it. And then at the end of the night, you know, I said, I respect everybody in here. You get to feel the way you want to feel. I don't have a problem with that as long as you don't try to force the way you feel on me. I respect you for feeling however you feel. And I find that when you meet people where they are, as opposed to try to convince them to think how you think, or live how you live, or have a certain ideology that you have, people tend to respond to you a lot better because they know that you respect them. Respect goes a long way. And, you know,
with your line in the movie, respect is a turn on.
It is a turn on.
Y'all have to watch his movie.
Love the One You're With.
Love the One You With. I watched it last
Amazon Prime.
night. I was dying laughing, and that line, I don't want to give it away, but so many great punchlines. You have to watch it, and that's on Amazon.
Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime. I'm going to leave it down here. You got to watch it. But you have other movies. Tell them about the other movies that you have.
Oh, yeah, real quick, though, to make a point. Meet people where they are. If you respect people, even if they think differently than you do, as opposed to going, that's wrong, you shouldn't think like that. Instead of that, go into a conversation like, oh, okay, I respect. I don't necessarily, I might not, and sometimes I don't tell people I don't agree with it. I just say, okay, well, why do you think like that? And going into it with, why do you think like that? Have you had a life experience that shaped the way you think? How were you brought up? Whatever. That will allow you to connect to them as a person. Then you kind of stop caring about why they have that opinion, and you're able to respect and relate to them as a person. Then once you do that, you're able to overlook your differences. Because now instead of going into it looking for reasons to disagree, and you can respectfully disagree, now you can go, okay, well, that's just them. I think we all have something that we can relate to and that we can't relate to with each other. But I think it's having respect enough for yourself, number one, to know that just because somebody has an opinion about something, that the way that you might live or how you might look or how you might do things, it doesn't mean anything is wrong with who you are. If you have a strong sense of self, which
a lot of people don't.
In this society now, because everybody's looking for validation, they don't.
Outside validation instead of validating themselves, learning about themselves, you know, reevaluating yourself. You know, I did a video where I was saying, have you heard yourself? Like, do you ever listen to yourself? Do you listen to yourself talk? Do you hear what's coming out of your mouth? Are you even aware of what you say? Because sometimes you're just going on emotion and feeling, and from, you know, verbiage from all other people, that you're just repeating stuff, and half the time you don't even know what you're saying because you're not even taking the time to have time to yourself. That's why I love the pandemic, and we're going to talk about how the pandemic took you to the next level. But the pandemic was good for a lot of reasons, because some people needed to sit down, needed to stay in the house, needed to deal with their shit. And sometimes your shit was you. And you didn't even realize it. You start realizing that you have bad habits, that you do things petty, or you do things wrong, or you didn't know a lot of things. And that time allowed you to do that, especially people who were in relationships. There's going to be a lot of divorces. There's going to be a lot of separation, because a lot of people realize that they got with their mate for the wrong reasons. Some people got with you because you was cute, but had no personality. Now you know you don't even have anything to talk about.
Well, I done dated some of those before.
Yeah.
That's painful.
Yeah, and then some people realize that they don't even like themselves, let alone liking the person that they're with. So
some people are in relationships because they don't know how to be alone.
They don't know how to be alone, and that's really bad. And that's what I loved about the pandemic. It forced a lot of people to be by themselves. And so the pandemic wasn't bad for a lot of people. So let's talk about how it helped you in the business, you know, and let's talk about some of the things that you created.
The pandemic was definitely a time of self-reflection for me. I found that what a lot of black people are taught is to exist in survival mode. And if you are constantly existing in survival mode, there become a lot of repetitive habits that keep you there, as opposed to taking time to reflect on what your progress is, to celebrate your small wins, to plan for what you want your next goals to be, and sometimes to rest, because Black people, we aren't taught to rest.
Amen.
You know, we're taught that there are only a few spots for us to be successful, and that if you don't have one of those spots, you ain't gonna get it. And then if you got one and you rest for a second, somebody else is gonna get it.
That's
but
true.
Oprah Winfrey has always been Oprah Winfrey, and do you not think she takes time to go to Cabo or Jamaica or something to spend? We ain't heard from Oprah this whole pandemic. I watch her on Instagram. She's on the Promised Land estate in that garden,
Doing her.
reading books, and
So-
she's still Oprah.
So what you do though? How did you take it to the next level? Let's talk about. Okay, again, people needed to laugh. People couldn't be by themselves, so they needed to hear another voice, and your voice healed a lot of people with laughter.
Well, yeah, what happened was, so over the course of my 20 years in the business, I released 5 comedy albums, and you know, people had listened to them. You know, one of them had done really well. One of them in 2014 was a finalist for a Grammy nomination for Best Comedy Album. And hey now, and but you know, considering how good the material is on the albums, I didn't think that it had gotten as far as it needed to get. And so within a month during the pandemic, all of the albums were, like, I'm talking about albums that I recorded 10 years ago.
Wow.
We're doing, you know, 30,000-40,000 streams a month. And so
That's
here
huge.
I am with 5 albums doing 250,000 streams every month. I was like,
Yes.
wow. And so that really taught me that the importance of planting seeds, and that sometimes, you know, you aren't always going to eat the fruit when you plant the seeds, but the album streams alone allowed me to get through the pandemic comfortably.
Nice. We're going to go eat, guys.
The dignity to people, to meet them where they are. And imagine how much we would all grow if we had people who were just simply willing to meet us where we are. Imagine in your personal life, if the people who, you know, you want to be able to understand, you were able to understand. Sometimes you simply need to be met where you are. You know, in your journey of growth of any kind, simply understanding that, you know, if you had somebody to meet you where you are, that means, hey, I'm here with you. And I might not understand why you're here, but I'm here and I'm willing to journey with you, because you got the journey anyway. Now, don't get me wrong. If something is toxic, that's something different. But if there's a simple difference of opinion, that's healthy. And we should respect that.
Now let's respect your career and let's talk about it.
Yes.
Okay, so tell us about this new fragrance.
Oh, yeah. So I am an entertainer, you know. I'm also someone who I believe in looking good. I believe in smelling good. I believe in indulging in all the senses. And so I have a new scent that'll be out called Headliner. And
I love that headliner. You get it?
it's called Headliner. And it's a unisex fragrance. Men and women can wear it, and it will work for you. And it has juniper berries in it, which is like it's a soft scent, but it's solid, you know.
Smells so good.
And it also has bergamot in it, which is commonly it's like in a tea, but it's like a again, it's another solid fragrance. It has sage in it, which balances all the different notes out. And it's another one. I forget what it is. Lavender, yes. Forgive me.
Yes.
Lavender, which lavender is a very relaxing smell. And so it works well with all types of body chemistry. Just make sure you take a bath before you put this on. Because a lot of people, I want to smell good, and you ain't washed under your arms in 3 days. So you can't do that with this, because that sage and that lavender will tell on your ass.
So I love, the full statement is, what is it? So it's jack of all trades, master of none, but a jack of all trades is better than a master of one.
Yeah.
That's the full statement. So you are also an author. How many books you have out?
I have 3 books. I've also contributed to several anthologies, but I have written 3. One of them is in the Harvard University library, and it was used to teach classes on race and sexuality, which is an important conversation, because again, I think a lot of Black people who don't completely understand the different dynamics around sexuality and don't know how to navigate that type of conversation, look at it in a very one-dimensional way. A lot of Black people, the general Black community, especially if you subscribe to the politics and the sociology of the Black church. So I think that's something that we have to continue having conversations about. And I think if more Black people were aware of that, I think it would make the conversation easier. I think if more Black people also were aware of, the history of Black gay people being at the forefront of Black liberation, for instance, the March on Washington in 1968 with Martin Luther King, that was organized, and you can Google this, that was organized by a Black gay man named Bayard Rustin. But the movement at the time, which was centered around, that Black family structure and all that type of stuff, and I'm not gonna lie, Bayard Rustin was wild. He liked them white boys, but a lot of them civil rights leaders back then, they were fucking white folks. But he was gay, and he was fucking white people, and at the time, and fighting. But they looked at what they wanted the image of that movement to be, and they told Brother Bayard, they said, we gonna have to put you in the back, but we want you to organize from the back. And so a lot of people don't know that this Black gay man was Dr. Martin Luther King's right-hand man. And you can Google that, Bayard Rustin. He organized the March on Washington. He taught Dr. Martin Luther King the nonviolent approach to civil rights. This is a Black gay man who organized the structure of the civil rights movement for one of the most well-known civil rights leaders of all time.
And this is 2021, and I'm just learning this.
A lot of people don't know that. Bayard Rustin was Dr. Martin Luther King. If you look at a lot of pictures, he was right there with him. He created the structure for the civil rights movement, the way we show up and we marching and we singing songs and, we organize, and a Black gay man is the one who taught Black people how to do that.
Oh my God, this has been so amazing, and I definitely got to talk to you another time with more stuff, but thank you so much for just taking the time to keep it real.
And real quick too, so we spent a lot of the time talking about issues, and I know what, we were gonna share stuff about my career, but this is what my career has been about. This is what my career embodies, is at the heart, I have a lot of great accomplishments that I can agree I don't talk about enough.
Which I told him he was going to talk about in this video.
Don't worry about that. I don't talk about my accomplishments enough, and there are many, and I say that very humbly. I am.
Let's talk about a couple of them.
Okay, well, I am blessed with some tremendously powerful talent in comedy, and as a social commentator, and as a writer, in 2017, we did a movie called I Live Here that was about how Black gay people experience, or Black gay people's experiences with gentrification and police brutality and things like that. And it got nominated for an Oscar award in 2017 in an independent narrative category. When you think about Oscars, you think about Best Actor, Best Actress, Movie of the Year, but there are like 70 other categories that people don't know about.
Okay, what's the name of it again?
It's called I Live Here, and it was directed by Shane Watson. And
nominated for an Oscar.
Nominated for an Oscar award, and I can pull that up for you and show you the receipts. I don't have to make this stuff up,
right?
But you know, and I've done a lot. Like I sell out shows all around the country. I have written for some of your favorite comedians. I have, you know, advised on some of your favorite television shows.
Go ahead and name a few. I'm gonna make him do this, y'all, because he's so humble.
I'm not gonna
just give me a few. Give me a few.
Well, I have advised on Saturday Night Live years ago when they were starting to talk about LGBTQ issues in a modern way. I was advising.
Okay, very good. Good to know.
I was advising.
Good to know. The Robin Williams story that he was at your show and complimented you. You know, may he rest in peace.
You know, when people that I grew up looking at on television started coming out to my shows because they'd heard of me, because they watched my stuff, that's when I knew. And I think we all get, if you look for them, those moments that let you know, even though things may not be exactly where you want them to be, here's a sign to let you know you're on the right path. You know,
Amen.
and it gets you from one space to the next. And I have 5 comedy specials out that you can watch on YouTube, including the most recent one, which is Church Boy. Church Boy, numbers wise, is the most successful special that I've done, and I released that in 2021. The most popular one, though, is That Bitch Better Be Funny, which came out in 2013. And, you know, the fact that I'm still putting out projects that are doing better than things that I put out years ago and continue to get better and better is something I'm very proud of. What it really comes down to is I could talk about my career, and maybe soon I will start, because sometimes I'll be like, you really, and I mean, I was the first LGBTQ headliner at the Smithsonian's National Museum of African American History and Culture in DC.
Let me just say this. One of the things I wanted to point out with us as a Black community, and we got to stop doing this. We humble ourselves so much to the ground because we have been taught not to brag, not to boast. And so we don't celebrate our wins. But we have to. We must, because of the hard struggle it takes to get it done. When you do it, you have to celebrate it. So he's so humble, he's so successful, and I'm pulling it out of him because of that. We got to stop that, Black beautiful people. We got to start owning our power, wearing our crowns, and just understanding our power, because others do it. And we got to stop shaming other people when they do talk about their wins. You can't be waiting for everybody to be an Oprah or a Kanye to then finally respect them. Respect Sampson McCormick right
But you know,
now.
That's what we do. And I mean, even with our legends,
yes.
You know, with white people, their legends can disappear for 10 years and come back and they're right where they are. As you know, as Black folks,
we want to call them a has-been or a one-hit wonder. It's so disrespectful.
Release something like, say, you know, one of our actors or actresses who's been around, like our Angela Bassett's and our, you know, Viola Davises and our Alfre Woodards and, you know, and folks like that. We know that they're talented, but when they put a movie out, all right, well, what's next? And we can't celebrate their 30 and 40 years of work that they've been putting out.
Amen.
Whereas a Barbara Streisand, she ain't sang live in 10, 15 years, and she's releasing music that she released already 50 years ago, and white people still buy it. You know, there's this idea with Black people that it's never enough.
And we got to stop that.
Yeah.
And we got to stop with this self-hatred. We really got to stop hating on ourselves, and we really got to start celebrating each other. We have to do that. That is an issue. It is a huge issue, and we need to stop that. And we need to stop being selfish with each other. We need to start working with each other and help build each other up, regardless, because they do it all the time. I don't know why we do it, but we got to stop doing it. Stop calling has-beens one-hit wonders. If somebody has made it, period, that's a celebration. So I'm so honored to have you
Thank you.
as my friend, but I was truly like a proud big sister when I was watching the movie, and when it came on, it said Sampson McCormick Media, and I was just like, ah! Y'all rewind it so many times because I was so proud of him. I was just like, oh my God. And I've seen him do his comedy stuff, and I know he's been all over, but I think as Black people, we have to stop doing that to each other. We have to stop belittling and minimizing our successes. I don't care how big or small. When people say, oh, how's your small gig doing? How's your small project doing? Let's stop doing all of that. So I'm celebrating you, and I hope my audience celebrates you as well. I'm going to leave all this information. He's an author, so you can buy his books. You can buy his comedy albums. You can download them.
Those are streaming.
Streamings, okay.
You can't. I don't think you can buy them online, but people are streaming.
Okay.
The hell out of them. They're on Spotify. They're on Tidal. They're on Apple. I think they're on Apple Music. You can Shazam my shit now. So if you hear me, you can Shazam the shit. Go to SampsonComedy.com. You can Shazam my shit right there.
Yep.
And
so
SampsonComedy.com. You can follow on Instagram at Sampson McCormick. And
the cologne you're going to be able to buy soon.
Headliner will be out very soon.
On Instagram, you're going to put a link where we can buy it?
Yes, a link will be on there. Also, I am partnering with Good Sex SF. So it's an health organization that I'm partnering with in San Francisco to place an emphasis on sexual health in the Black and brown community. So
that's important.
We grown, and like we were talking about a few minutes ago, we like sex. But we don't understand everything about it, and we aren't always honest about it. Sometimes, people,
we're not honest with ourselves about it,
and not necessarily about sexuality, but sometimes, hey, I've been being grown. Let me take a moment and go get tested. And so some people, they don't go get tested at a clinic because a lot of Black people, we don't go to a doctor. And if we aren't going to a doctor, what makes you think we're stopping to go and go to a health clinic to see what STDs we might have, or check the HIV status? So for people who want more information about that, or you're uncomfortable going to get tested in public, we will send you a free kit where you can test yourself at home for everything. You can give yourself an anal swab, you can pee in a little cup, HIV thing where you can test yourself for HIV. You can test yourself for all the STDs in the comfort of your own home. And we want our people to embrace sexual health so much that when you order one of these, we will also send you a free $25 gift card, a Visa gift card.
Wow, that's an incentive.
Because we want Black people to
do this,
prioritize our sexual health. And so also so that's a couple of the things you have to mail back in. They will email you back your results, but you do this in the comfort of your own home, and you get $25 free, and they send you a little gift box with condoms and lube and little sex toys and stuff.
I love this. We're gonna talk more about this. I think, ladies, you should order this anyway and have it. Remember that being Mary Jane?
Yeah, real quick too. You can get one of these.
Okay.
Go to havegoodsex.org and they will send it to your house.
Ladies, you should have that so that when you finally meet that person, do that being Mary Jane episode. Remember, she had the whole AIDS kit, and they took the test together before they had sex. Get that, have that in your house so that you can test it before you have sex with this person, because you don't know, and maybe they don't know. But I love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So we're going to go inside. As you can see, I'm dealing with some technical difficulties, but We're going to go inside now and have some really good soul food. It's going to be good. It looks so good. But I just wanted to say, I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you have learned some things. And again, I just like to keep it raw, unfiltered, and honest. We're dealing with issues here. We're not baking cookies. So it's raw and it's real. And I appreciate Sampson for taking his time with me and being honest and open about it all. So if you understand what we were talking about, give us a thumbs up. And if you didn't, it's okay. Give us a thumbs down.
No, don't leave a thumbs down.
You can
Leave
always agree. We can always agree to disagree. Just leave it in a comment and share your perspective.
Don't leave thumbs down. If you don't understand something, because I think thumbs down is a cop-out. Leave a comment that expresses what it is that you need more understanding around.
Yeah. We deal with our issues so that we can heal and win.
That's right.
That's the reason why we do it. So if you're in a given mood, subscribe to my channel. Help me to get my numbers up. Follow me on Facebook, like and share, and follow me on IGTV, like and share my videos.